Euronews has heard evidence of violence carried out by the security forces in Venezuela against journalists and protesters. One press worker said that during last weekend's protests, after the Attorney General was ousted, reporters were attacked despite having identified themselves. The cameraman for the American TV network Telemundo says he was hit and injured by rubber bullets. The police don't like me to film them when one officer is stealing the wallet and earrings of an old woman being suffocated by tear gas thrown by them, he says. The clampdown's been aided by gangs on motorbikes who've been seen roaming the streets looking for protesters. One young man who supports the resistance against President Maduro's government claims he was targeted during recent clashes in Caracas. The 25-year-old, who didn't want to be identified, told us, "I tried to dodge some obstacles and take cover from the police, but one of them, the one sitting on the back of the motorbike, saw me, pointed his gun and shot me 5 times with birdshot." The UN's Rights Office has denounced what it calls widespread and systematic use of excessive force against demonstrators. According to one NGO, more than 250 journalists have been attacked. They include the Euronews correspondent who was targeted while covering events in April.
Venezuela's National Guard escort members of the country's controversial Constituent Assembly into the Legislative Palace in Caracas. Evidently expecting trouble, delegates had turned up early. They filed into the chamber where Congress normally meets. The move took members of the opposition-led National Assembly by surprise, who were prevented from entering the building. A contingent of the National Guard with the President of the Constituent Assembly took the chamber by force where Parliament operates. Before, they'd said they'd be taking over the Municipal Theatre of Caracas as a place to work, but they went back on their word. Instead, they took over the Federal Building, where Parliament, elected by 14 million Venezuelans in 2015, works as the legitimate legislature.
Electa por 14 millones de venezolanos, que es la institución más legítima que hay en Venezuela.
During the meeting, members of the new Constituent Assembly declared itself superior to all other branches of government. The order bars any interference with the laws passed by the pro-government superbody. Our correspondent says Venezuela's opposition claims the takeover of the legislative complex is another clear violation carried out by the Constituent Assembly. But the deputies have vowed that if they cannot sit in Parliament to carry out their work, they will do so on the streets.
The Rhinestone Cowboy singer Glenn Campbell has died, aged 81. He was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease in 2011. Why don't you leave and call me? Or would that put... Dolly Parton said the singer, actor and TV host was special because he was so gifted.
Glenn is one of the greatest voices that ever was in the business, and he was one of the greatest musicians. He was a wonderful session musician as well. A lot of people don't realize that, but he could play anything, and he could play it really well. So he was just extremely talented.
Fans paid tribute to Campbell on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. He was one of the biggest stars of the late 1960s and 70s, selling more than 45 million records, with 12 gold albums and 75 chart hits.
That keeps you in the back roads by the rivers of my memory. To get the road taken along my way.
Nice, beautiful. Beautiful.
It's turned into a complex political and legal issue that's divided public opinion. But the Australian government says it's confident it's found a way forward. The ruling Conservatives say they will make a second attempt this week to get parliamentary support for a compulsory plebiscite on whether to allow same-sex marriage. But if it fails again, it says it will hold a non-compulsory postal vote on the issue in November.
All Australians will have their say. They will get the opportunity to express their opinion on the issue of whether the law should be changed to enable same-sex couples to marry, fulfilling the commitment we made at the election.
But critics, including gay rights groups, are calling for just a conscience vote in Parliament to avoid divisive campaigning.
There will be disappointment felt from coast to coast tonight in Australia as the government has yet again decided to delay, drag on and disappoint people with their decision today. They had the opportunity to resolve this matter through a vote in Parliament and they said no. They said we're going to drag this out.
Latest opinion polls show more than 60% of Australians, including the Prime Minister, support same-sex marriage.
The Chinese government fears that hundreds of people have been killed and injured in the southwestern province of Sichuan after the area was struck by a 6.5 magnitude earthquake. The tremor's epicenter was some distance below the ground and thus was not as severe as the shock that hit the area in 2008, which claimed 70,000 lives. Early images of nearby Chengdu and Zhujiagu showed damaged buildings, although only 5 deaths have thus far been confirmed.
The death toll has risen to 13 in an earthquake in southwest China's Sichuan province. Officials have said that at least 5 of the dead were tourists. Rescue teams worked through the night as the number of injured also rose to more than 175. And as the sun came up, the effects were clear to see, with landslides and damaged buildings across the area. While some will be thankful for a lucky escape, for others it'll be another bitter reminder of the 2008 quake in the region, which killed more than 80,000 people.
A manhunt is underway in Paris after a car ploughed into a group of soldiers, injuring 6, 3 seriously. Police are looking for the driver of a BMW who had parked in an alleyway before deliberately driving into the crowd as they left their barracks to go on patrol duty. The French Ministry of Defence announced that although some of the soldiers' injuries are serious, their lives are not in danger. The attack occurred at around 8 a.m. local time in the northwestern Paris suburb of Levallois-Perret. It was described by local mayor Patrick Balkany as a disgusting act of premeditated aggression. The soldiers were part of Opération Sentinelle, the military operation launched in the wake of the January 2015 attacks in Paris. Since then, over 230 people have been killed in acts of terror in France, including the 130 that lost their lives in November of the same year and the 86 who died in a lorry attack during Bastille Day celebrations in Nice in 2016.
E deporte ta sige después de espaço comercial na continuação.